Okay folks, so you may remember this slightly broken DJI FPV from previous video. I'll link it up here. This was flown into a set of trees basically and lost for a day, and it ended up with this broken arm. It may have some other problems. It won't sync, it won't connect to the goggles, it won't connect to the controller, but I'm kind of hoping that everything stems from the broken arm because the antennas are in the arms and stuff. So let's get that fixed and we'll see where we are. This is the new arm. It looks like an official one. I had to order this from China. It arrived in like a week, 10 days. Let's get this green bit removed first of all. Trying to be careful not to damage the wiring that's in there any more than it may already be. With the new arm, we do get antenna wire, and presumably this is LEDs, but everything else is has to come off of the other on the motor wires, for example, the SC wires. They need to come off of this arm. We do need to remove these screws as well. Looks like all 4 of those need to come out, which is fine. Screw that I'm missing. I wonder if these need to come off. This whole sensor array. Just got 2 screws in the battery case. I wonder if those are holding the case on. Oh, they look actually like they might be holding the cooling for the flight controller. Come out. Come on, out you come. Okay, that's those 2 out. Any more movement? Really interesting. I just can't tell what's actually holding this on. Seems like it maybe just be clipped as well. Probably do with a spudger. Don't want to break it, that's the key thing. There we go. It's just a little tight. So that's the casing off. So if we look at the new leg, looks like it's held on by 2 of the screws that have come out of the casing, and these 2 screws at the bottom here. So if we remove those, okay, so that's the broken part of the arm. This must be just held by the wires. Now there is some damage to that wiring. I imagine now we need to get under here. And this is a heat sink, so I imagine there's some thermal paste. Okay, I can also see some other, what look like motor wires. You can also see some antenna wires here, which we may have to investigate further. Will that come off now? yes, it will come off and we will throw it on the floor. These 4 screws back through here, just so we don't get confused, or at least get less confused. Okay, so that's got us to the heat sink by the looks of it. How does that come off? It just lifts up. And yes, there is a thermal pad. So we should be okay to not add any new thermal paste, which is good because I don't have any. And it looks like these wires are all soldered. Red, yellow, black. Okay, so we need to get these desoldered. There is some hot glue in the vicinity for reasons. So let's get them desoldered. Rather than burning this hot glue, will it? Just see if it will come off. And the grey wire is antenna by the looks of it. That's taken something of a ding. Let's desolder things and then see where we go from there. And these are the same both sides, so at least I don't need to make a note of what I'm removing. Just be able to refer to the other side. Okay, that's the motor wires off. I think there's a small connector for probably LEDs. Is that a connector? Yeah, I think it is. That's the LEDs. That feels like it's going to be a pain to get off. This antenna wire is snapped. So the question is, where did it originally go to? So that's where that antenna wire went to, but it is now, unfortunately, snapped. That's the arm off. How does this come out? Right, there's a screw in here. I don't know if you can see that. There we go. We just managed to get purchase on it. Getting it tightened back up may be a problem, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, after we finish throwing tools around. So I guess the next thing we're going to need to do is get all of the hardware from the old arm, motor, presumably there's LED control in here. Okay, so this wire must come to, is there a circuit board? What's in this nacelle? Yep, right, okay. There's a board here, again covered in hot glue. So that's that. Disconnected. We are going to need to disconnect this one as well. It feels like it's going to be a real pain to get back through. So yeah, that's the hot glue. So that's just sticky. And then this is hot glued in, of course. It's going to cause me a slight problem because I don't have any hot glue. Just to hope that the nacelle itself will hold it in place. I do have a little hot glue gun somewhere, so okay, and then that one will go into there. But let's get the motor removed first. Again, a different size, of course. Okay, so this fits. Some fresh thread lock is probably best practice here, but I think we'll be okay. I do have some thread lock if we want to do that. Okay, so 3 screws for the motor. I'm going to take a quick picture because I want to get these back through the same holes, I would imagine, for the wiring length. Okay, it looks like all these wires are heat shrunk together. So hopefully they'll come out in one. But then obviously I'm going to have to separate them to get them out of the individual holes. These are not keen to pull through. Just pull them through the... Just a bit of heat shrink tubing. I've got more. We can always add more if we need to. It might make it easier to get them back through. This is going to be virtually impossible, it feels like. Grab another picture of that before we go any further, just so I've got it. Oh, it's marked. Is it marked on the new arm? Indeed it is. BRY. So that's handy to know. Done without taking the pictures. Black. Red. Yellow. Let's go through those holes. And just get the motor lined up and get the screws back into that. And as usual, I'm going to get it in on a couple of threads. And get them all in just so we get it nicely lined up. And then just tighten them all down. That's all of those tightened down. How I'm going to get this back through is anyone's guess. Maybe it's worth putting it back into the tubing. Or maybe it's worth putting some new tubing on. I don't know at this point. We'll figure it out. Just getting that LED wire down on its own would be a real pain. So if we can get it down inside this or a new piece of heat shrink to be determined, that would be a huge bonus, I think. But now we do have to get it down here, which feels like it might be a challenge. So the question is, how are we going to get these through? I really don't want to do them individually. It may be worth, actually. There must be, let me know in the comments, there must be some tool that you can use. Okay, that's the yellow through. Now if I'm going to have any chance of getting this through, presumably needs to go through now. There's just no sign of it. Well, there is. Okay, we got a visual. It's looking good, folks. Okay. That's the black wire. That's all 3 motor wires, plus the black wire, plus the LED wire. That is the most annoying thing I've done for quite a while. And obviously that's by design. So let's try and put this end back together. These wires are a little bit of a mess right now, but we'll see how they look once we get the cowling back on. Amazing. Just gotten the wires through the arm, including the LED wire, which surprised me. Let's remove this temporary soldering that we did. Small board does need hot gluing back on, I think. I'm going to put it together to test, and we'll see how we do. I guess first let's try and get motor wires connected. It's going to be slightly more difficult now because we have the rest of the arm in the way a little bit, but actually it might be better actually to mount the arm first and then try and reconnect everything. Okay, so it will be tricky to get to the antenna, so it's probably best to try and get that in first because that needs to go underneath these wires here. Just trying to make a little bit of space. But I have a feeling that this is going to have to come off so I can get to the antenna connector. There we are. You can see now the antenna connector. That's where the old wire had snapped clean off the connector. So I'm hoping that that might be the cause of the loss of radio. Now it's not the only antenna, so I wouldn't be surprised to find that it wasn't that, but we will see, I suppose. So let's get the arm seated correctly. Trying to avoid trapping the wires. I suspect this has had a repair already in the past because the routing of these wires doesn't seem quite right. So that's the antenna reconnected. Now the next problem is going to be getting this LED connector in, because that has to go underneath the motor wires. I just need to keep those out of the way for a minute. This is going to be a pretty fiddly job. I am starting to feel like these LEDs are more hassle than they're worth. Just for a set of LEDs. I feel like the arm's going to have to move back slightly, but then the problem I've got then is the antenna, so it might be that the antenna needs to go for second. I can now at least see it. Oh dear. I'm aware you can't see this, but if it's any consolation, nor can I. Okay. I think that's in. I don't know how, but it is. Hold on again. I'll try and get this antenna wire back on. There. Okay. Just wait before I put the clip back on, just in case I need to remove this for any reason again while I'm doing motor wires, but I think we should be good. Okay, and we'll put a little bit of flux on these. Red, yellow, black is the order that we need these to be in. So go on with red. Go on with yellow. And we're going with black. So just tidy yellow up a little bit. It seems a solid connection. Okay, so this clip back together, which is a holder for the antenna wires, which I'm guessing that clip is why the antenna wires tore off rather than the connectors breaking free. I'll give this a quick test, I think. Oh, it's still not on properly. There we go. That's a little bit better. Pop back off again. There, that's more like it. Let's tighten it up and then we'll give it an electrical test. I mean, if it basically starts up and this motor seems happy enough, then it's worth continuing putting it back together. We get a battery. Motor moves. No LEDs. Because we got some further damage there. That's fine. Let's see if it'll bind to the goggles. We need to put this into bind mode. It doesn't seem to want to go into bind mode. I think that's how you do it. Done. Oh, that's not a good sign. Why won't it go into bind mode? And still no LEDs, so it does suggest potentially damage elsewhere. The gimbal works. Maybe this battery's quite low, so it may be that it won't go into bind mode because of that. But no LEDs, that's quite worrying, I guess, as well. It may be that it's got bigger problems, but if it does, then it does, and we can use it for spares. Now again, I haven't hot glued any of this back together. Probably will want that if it does work, if it flies, but if not, then I'm not going to worry too much about it. So yeah, it's basically an integrated board. You've got the ESC, this logic board here, which I imagine is the flight controller, the breakout board, power distribution, maybe some camera stuff. There's something shielded on there, so maybe it is a separate board with the equivalent of the air unit. I don't know. But anyway, let's get the heat sink back on. Just make sure that there's a good thermal contact. These connected, get these tightened. Screw in, just hold the arm together. Just reversing the order of disassembly. Okay, so now it's just the, I don't even know what this is called. I know there is a name for it in the manual, but I can't remember what it is. Also going to be, once again, a pain in the ass. There, we've just got to sort of bend that up slightly to get it under that part of the arm. There. That's that back on. And that as well. Those were those, these are the ones that go on the side here. Turns, get them in, line up as we tighten the rest of them up. So this has to go in at an angle. You've got these little things here. I'll go into an angle and then just slot into place and click in around here to just cover everything. And then that's these last four, the tall screws. Okay, that's these last two. So there we are, folks. That is how you do arm replacement when you've got a broken arm on your DJI FPV. This one, we still aren't sure whether it works or not. It may have other problems, so we'll test that now. But in terms of the arm replacement itself, that's how you do it. As you saw, it's a pain in the ass. Getting those wires routed is a nightmare. But it can be done. It's doable. Finally, let's see if we can get it to bind. And we can see all the motors work, including the one that we've just, or at least they do the thing. Okay, and then we need to press and hold this for 5 seconds, apparently. It's not doing it. Okay, well, there we are then. Amazing. Thanks, camera.